to church a lot of times, and I would sit through, and a lot of times I would not get it. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't get it. And I would pray and I would hope somebody could actually break it down to me. But at the time, I really wasn't worried about that. I really wasn't tired. I really wasn't trying to figure out what can I do to get this broke down to me. I took the bits and pieces that I did understand and I ran with it. So my aunt called me and she gave me the same speech that my sister just gave me. Why are you worried about what everybody else is thinking? If this is what God has called you to do, you know exactly what your calling is. Why are you running from it? And you know what? I still can't answer that question. Why am I running from it? Actually, I can't. Because when I pulled up to my mom's house the next day after she listened, she gave me a complete awakening from this one. And she asked me, you weren't worried about what the people in the world were thinking about you when you were out doing worldly things. So why are you worried about it? Why are you worried about what they're saying now? Because you're not trying to do those worldly things, because you're trying to walk with God. Why are you worried about it now? And instantly, it a light bulb went off in my head because she was absolutely right. Why is it that when we're out in the world and we're sleeping with whoever and whatever, turning up all types of bottles, all kinds of nights, smoking weed and doing everything that isn't in God's will. We don't care who sees us. We don't care. We all on Snapchat, all on the stories on Facebook. We are on every piece of social media broadcasting exactly what we're doing. A lot of times we in these clubs, and this is not just trying to call anybody out, but it's the truth. You got the women out here that half naked in the club, and the guys that are damn excuse me for that one. Oh, she fine, this, that, and the third. You're not caring what nobody's thinking about you. Then you out here fighting, you cussing, you doing everything under the sun, and you do not care who sees you. You don't care what they think about you. So why is it that when God calls us and we are trying to step into that calling, we decide that we want to be afraid. We want to start thinking of what people are actually start thinking about you then. Why weren't we thinking about it back then? And I'll tell you why. And it's because, like I said, God gave you that freedom to actually do all that. God also gives you this freedom and those boundaries to actually walk in the calling walk into the destiny that He called you for. And a lot of times what we do is we try to psych ourselves out because we are more afraid of what actually might happen if we step into this calling than what people are actually going to say about you. Because a lot of times I really don't care what nobody really has to say. Regardless, when I was in the world, I was criticized. And not saying that I'm perfect, because I'm far from it. So when I go into stepping into this calling that God has given me, I'm going to be criticized again. So why do I care? The only person I should actually be worried about caring, and in the thing is, the only being that I actually care about worrying is glorifying God. That's what I should be worried about. But a lot of us don't see it that way. We see it as we're not trying to give up the fast life. We think that, and the thing is, a lot of times I would think that I wouldn't have any fun living that type of life. I wouldn't have any fun following what God actually wants me to do. That means I would have to give up the feeling of being drunk and not being guilty, or the feeling of going out here and having sex with whoever and not feel guilty anymore about it. Because I can do it now. I can do it now and I will feel guilty, but before I would not feel guilty about it. True enough, yes, I still drink. Nothing's gonna change overnight. God's still working on me, so y'all know that. Um, yes, I still drink. No, I don't smoke anymore. So, am I truly ready to step into the calling and and put forth what God actually has given me? I'm working on it. I can honestly say I'm working on it. And it's one of those things where it's not going to happen overnight. It's a work in progress. Rome wasn't built in a day. The Great Wall of China wasn't built in a day. It took time. It's going to take some breaking down of some old walls to build up those new walls. And going into it, I just have to know if I'm living within the boundaries that God has set for me, I'm going to be okay. At one point in time, and this is coming from the text that Pastor Mark gave us today in church, I was okay with living with no boundaries at all. But a lot of times, living outside of those boundaries that God gave us, it landed me places where I didn't want to be. It landed me into trouble where I didn't want to be. It landed me with women that I didn't want to be with. It landed me doing things that I really didn't want to do and being around people that I really didn't feel comfortable being around. I wanted to fit in so bad into this world that I would sit around people that I didn't really even like. And I knew for a fact didn't like me. Just to say I was with somebody or I was fitting in at the time. That was living within my own boundaries. Or I'm going to do what I want to do. These are the plans that I have set for my life. You can plan and plan and plan and plan all day long. You can have a calendar of what's exactly what you're going to do, how you're going to live your life. Oh, well, this is how I'm going to do this at 18. I'm going to do this in the next 6 months. But if it's not according to God's plans, it's not going to go as planned. And when we figure that out, and when we actually start learning that if it's not a part of God's plan and it's not the path that God actually wants us down, then He's going to continue to keep us taking us in that circle and that never-ending cycle of bumping our heads. Continue bumping our heads until we get back on the path that He actually put us on. Until you bumped your head so many times, until you get so many cartoon nights, as I call them, until you figure out that you're tired of bumping your head, you're tired of going in circles. This is just like when Moses freed the Hebrew slaves. They continued to go into that cycle of griping, worshiping false gods, complaining about everything, not trusting God, not putting their trust, not putting their faith into God. This is why they wandered around that wilderness for 40 years. Because they were not ready to receive what God actually had for them. See, the thing is, God will allow you to continue to keep staying in a cycle of whatever you're going through. Oh, I want a new car. But every time you get in your old car, oh, this is a piece of crap. I can't stand this car. All you do is complain about your car. Oh, I wish I had this, and how can they get that and I can't. When you look more into what other people have and you envy what other people have, God's not going to bless you with anything. When you continuously have that negative cycle, and when you continue to have that negative output on life, all you're going to get back in return is negativity, and God's going to continue to keep letting you go into that cycle until you realize, until you wake up and say, hey, look, maybe I need to change something. Maybe I need to change the way, the outlook I'm looking. Maybe I need to start praying more. Maybe I need to start having more faith. Maybe I should be more humble. Maybe I should have the faith of a mustard seed, and maybe God will bless me more. Maybe God will bless me with what I actually want. And then a lot of times it might not be exactly what you want, but it'll be what you need. God's not going to give you everything that you want. He's going to give you just enough of what you need to make sure that you're sustained. I met this Thursday. I met up with one of the guys, Joe, from the small group. And when I say I love Joe like a brother, because I can go to Joe and he will listen and he will give me that advice. And we met this wonderful kid. We were sitting in KFC, just having lunch and chatting, and just he was asking me different questions about what I wanted to do, and he had already talked to me about going into ministry and going into the Highlands College to where I could go into the vocational ministry. And this little boy walked up to us, 7 years old, um, Leonidas. And when we both looked at each other like, man, that is a really cool name. And I was like, I know that name from somewhere. I just didn't know exactly where I had heard it from. But when I said the little boy was sharp as a tack, he was sharp as a tack. He in the remodeled KFC KFC buffet, they have these pictures of different places that Colonel Sanders went to, and this little boy knew every place that he had gone. He, and granted, he's homeschooled, but and so his mom is teaching him things that he wants to know. And whatever. And me and Joe got to talking to him about, you know, heaven and Jesus, and the little boy knew more than what we thought he knew. And it was such a blessing for a kid at that age to know that there's there's good in everybody, and to know that the devil is real. We invited him and his mom to church today, and lo and behold, Joe didn't come to church today. He's in Chattanooga, but he had an engagement in Chattanooga. But I told him, he said, "Hey, the mom and the son that we met at KFC, they're actually going to be at church." He texted me that last night, and lo and behold, when I was walking out of the church, there they are standing in the back of the church. So I asked her. I said, "Did you guys love the service?" She was just like, "Yeah, sure. We really enjoyed it. We got here a little late, but we really enjoyed it." And when I spoke to him, and when I say, sometimes, when meeting somebody for the first time, a lot of times I don't even remember who they are. And I don't remember their names, nothing. Leonidas knew exactly who I was. Hey, you're the guy that works for Apple. And that touched my heart because we had talked to him for so long that we had literally made an impact, and he knew exactly who we were. He knew exactly who I was. He knew exactly what I did. And and it was just crazy because once they, when they walked off from us when we were in KFC Thursday, um, I told y'all, I was like, it was meant for us to come here to hear that, because sometimes we forget that even God can use even the smallest of child to bring forth some type of a message. He uses their innocence to get to us. They don't see the world the way we see it. They see the world as innocent. They don't see it as corrupt as we do. And